Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Lee McCulloch are here with me the day after, obviously, that Monday, May Day holiday, but we're still giving you your fix of football, and here's what's coming up.
Brendan Rodgers claims Celtic will have fun during this weekend's Old Firm derby as the Hoops ease to a 3-0 win over Hearts. Philippe Clement blasted the Parkhead boss over his post-match remarks and claimed he would never make similar comments ahead of the derby.
That it's not really respectful towards my team. That I think. So I will never say things like that about an opponent.
David Martindale takes full responsibility for Livingston's demise after the Lions were officially relegated at the hands of Motherwell.
I don't want to start looking at VAR, budgets, rubbery green, big decisions going against you. I think it's important that me, as a leader of the group, takes that responsibility.
Eric Ten Hag admits Manchester United's defeat to Crystal Palace didn't come as a surprise after the team's recent disappointing performances.
So you didn't have a lot of wins that we were hard to beat, and today we were easy to beat.
Trouble ahead for Manchester United. We will touch on that a little later in the programme, but great to have you with us. Obviously it's a Tuesday, which is not an unusual day for the football show, but we needed a day's rest, Ruffy. I mean, Lee obviously had his own weekend agenda, but we certainly had one, and we thoroughly enjoyed the PFA Player of the Year awards.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I think when the awards were handed out, I don't think there was any there that you could have disputed at all. I think they were all there in merit. Everybody that won something. There were a couple of people at my table weren't happy with a couple of the awards, but you would expect that. Yeah. But no, I thought it was a great night. I thought you'd done well. Again, as usual, bit of banter up there, keeping everybody going. And of course, Graham Souness being the main event was very good. Yeah,
very emotional. Of course, the other thing I would point out to you, we don't get the answers until the night before, when I'm obviously just finishing off the script for it, Lee. So we all had our take. I think that I was surprised, first of all, there was only 3 candidates for Manager of the Year, but in the end, John McGlynn won it.
It was a difficult one because of the timing of the vote. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, but the timing of the vote, you don't know what the outcome of the league's going to be. You don't know if Kilmarnock are going to get there or not in European place. So I think a deserved winner for being an invincible was John McGlynn. I think it's been a terrific season for him.
The shirts will be going like mad, won't they?
Yes, I've seen his interview as well. He's just a nice guy, and having won it before as well, and says a lot for the stature in the game. If you come back, I think it was 10, 11 years since he's won it, to still be doing it. And what a season. Remarkable season.
Yeah, you know what it's like, just trying to constantly stimulate yourself. Although people are saying, Falkirk got a stronger squad than anybody in that league. You've been in that situation. You just need to stay focused.
You do. Complacency can creep in at any given time, and I think that's the mark of a good manager, when he's keeping everything fresh, keeping the goals fresh when it's weekly goals, and it's proved to be right.
Yeah, old school as well, Ruffy.
Yeah, I mean, I was up at the Wraith Rovers dinner when he was up there, when they were struggling financially, they were down and out, and I think that when he got up and spoke, he spoke very well about the position the club were in. They were nearly going out of the game, but he dug on in there, he had the experience to get them not in any trouble, and you can see what he's done at Falkirk. I think what swayed him at Falkirk was, I think the majority of the votes, all the managers, were Championship, First Division, Second Division. Yeah. And I think they all appreciate how hard it is to win every game at their sort of a level. So I would have thought he'd get tons of votes off of these managers.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, let's not beat about the bush. The other aspect of it that I think maybe went against him is, you could get a situation where Philippe Clement could indeed win the treble. Brendan Rodgers could win the double. But the problem is, timing is one thing, but the two of them, one came in a little bit later in the season, which kind of slightly imbalances it, because Philippe Clement comes in to pick up the wreckage of what's gone before, and Brendan Rodgers, I think up until the Hearts game, which we will talk about, Lee, I think a lot of people may be looking at the Brendan Rodgers spark wasn't as big as they thought it was going to be, if at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think regarding the Rangers manager coming in, picking up the pieces quarter to halfway through the season, it's difficult. But then you're looking at the Celtic manager who's come back in off the back of being here before, doing a treble. It's it's not going to be an easy season for him, and they can still come away at the end of this season with a double. So I think the timing, as you're saying, is spot on, but there's still so much to play for both teams and managers.
Yeah, Player of the Year, I think all of us were veering towards Lawrence Shankland just because of that prolific period in the season where everything that was dropping at his feet, and especially if you get goals against big teams, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why you get that award. You know, when the voting papers come in, I think every player at every other club would have identified the damage that he'd caused against them. You know, he's probably scored against nearly every team that he's played against, and how hard he is to mark for defenders wise. So I would think that's where he would get a large amount of his votes. But some of his goals, I mean, he was in the goal of the season as well.
Yeah.
Some of the goals he scored are terrific, absolutely terrific.
The other thing about it is sometimes I always welcome a Player of the Year and say, okay, I know you'll be off in the summer. I've got a real strong sense that he will be off in the summer. I can't see him staying there. I'd love to see him stay at Hearts.
Who knows? Like, being honest, who knows? I think it'll be up to Hearts to prove how much they want to keep him. But having said that, if he's wanting to leave, I'd imagine the pathway will be there to allow that for Hearts with a sensible offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Take something sweet to get him on the move, and he's certainly, I think since his move to Hearts, he's certainly paid them back with all the goals.
It's amazing where he was. We saw him at Aberdeen. You know, he wasn't getting in, and then he went to Ayr United. I don't know why in the back of my head thinks he was at Morton for a wee while.
He was on loan.
Check that out.
On loan at Morton, I think.
Yeah, I thought he was there as well, and I keep going back to it. When I was at Partick Thistle on the board, and he was at Ayr United, we actually bid 150,000.
I remember you telling us that on the programme.
We sat one Friday and we identified how do we get the Premiership. We said we need a striker.
Striker that guarantees you goals.
Threw it out there, and I said, who do you think? And Colley was at Ayr United, and I said, why don't we throw in a bid for her? He said, what do you think? I said, I think it's 150. And we bid 150.
So we signed him for Dundee United from Ayr United. I think he got 4 in his first game.
Well, one of the
4
reasons,
goals in his first game.
One of the reasons he didn't, he wanted to run down his contract. So you's got him.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I think he was, just for a short period, Ruffy, you're right, January to June.
Because they played Morton no long ago, Hearts.
He was at a loan deal at Morton. So, but he's at a fair few clubs, Queen's Park, Aberdeen, Dunfermline on loan, St Mirren on loan. God, he's had a few loan deals as well. Morton, Ayr, Dundee United, and then, of course, he had a wee spell with Beerschot.
Belgium.
Yeah.
Aye.
Good shout, but I didn't know that as well. It just shows you, and this is a boy who's 28. He's still got, I think he's still got a right good few years in front of him. This 28 age is perfect when you want to cash in big money.
Probably, yes. I think at 28 it's the height of his career. He's experienced enough now to know what he can and can't do. I think when he's younger, he's trying to do things maybe that his body won't allow him to do. Now he's using his experience. He's playing. He's making an impact with his country. He's making an impact in the league. He's been the best player in the league this season. Top goal scorer. He's at a perfect age right now for somebody or Hearts to re-sign, give him the deal that the fans want him to get to stay.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing for Hearts, I don't know if he said it on the stage with you, but he said it somewhere. He wants to test himself against the best.
Yeah.
That to me thinks, right, I've done it in this league.
Yeah,
I want to prove myself somewhere.
Or the Hearts fans will say, but that's Europe.
Yes, yeah. Well, if I'm being brutally honest,
a couple of games.
2 games. You're treading a fine line there. If I'm being brutally honest with you, I don't think he's. I mean, I really like him as a player, but I don't think he's top end Premiership.
In England?
I don't think he is. The one thing about the boy is he's good when that ball instinctively drops around the 18-yard box. He's not a player who's going to run away from anybody. I just don't see him. I don't see that movement, that speed. The top end strikers. He may well be one. Listen, everybody's got an opinion. He may well be a kind of somebody that a Luton or a Burnley or a Nottingham Forest might look at and say, listen, he's worth a punt.
Oh, you know what like they are down there in the Premiership, and money's just nothing. You know, if they think they can get them for not paying 30, 40, 50, 60 million, you know, it's worth a shot, isn't it? Because if it doesn't work, then they just move on.
Well, I was looking there at, you know, even the links with one of the young player nominees and Lennon Miller. People are just looking now and thinking, $1 million's just a drop in the ocean. Just throw that in, we'll take him, we'll stick him in the squad, and if he comes up trumps, it's worth a roll of the dice, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think so, and the good thing about it is, I think the latter part of the guys that have went down there, the McGinns, the Gilmores, you know, I know they're at a different level for the guys that we're talking about, but at least English clubs are seeing them going down there and doing it, you know, and doing it well and moving on to another level.
So you could bring in the Italian clubs to that as well.
It's a good shout.
With your Hickeys, Ferguson, Doig. I think there'll be a big influx of Italian scouts over here looking at all these boys, all the boys, your Watsons, your Lennon Millers, and saying if the other players can do it, why we're not looking for the next crop.
Yeah, it's a good point you make, because quite simply, you know, we're in a situation where everybody's looking and thinking, wow, what an impact. Lewis Ferguson, he's just been awarded the Bulgarelli number 8 award, which is for the best midfielder in the Serie A.
That first ever for a Scottish player, obviously. I mean, you'd imagine.
Yeah, I would think so, because apart from anything else, when you look at Scottish players who've played in Italy, I mean, Dennis Law scored goals but didn't stay long.
Yeah.
Joe Baker was over there as well, Ruffy. And then, of course, you had that British influence. Graham was there.
Yeah.
Graham Souness. But, you know, for Lewis Ferguson, who many people would look and say, you know, he was at Aberdeen. Rangers should have, I thought, had a punt on him. I remember suggesting...
By the way, or Celtic.
I suggested Celtic and Rangers to go and have a punt on him because I thought he was worth it. At £1 million, Lee.
That's proven to be an absolute drop in the ocean now for probably what it would be worth now. But what an achievement for a fantastic player, but a grounded guy as well. I always like to see that. Look, he's quite grounded, but the way he plays, the way he expresses himself on a football pitch, that's a ridiculous achievement. And you wouldn't be surprised to see him move on to maybe one of the bigger Italian teams or English Premiership.
Great grounding, though. I always thought his dad was a great player. His dad, Derek...
And a great guy as well, isn't he?
Well, he is a great guy, but he wouldn't criticise me for suggesting to him if Derek had the great west of Scotland, if Derek had screwed the nut, you know, screwed the heat. Derek Ferguson would have been equally as good a player as Lewis, if not, you know, I mean, I'm no discredit to Lewis. Derek Ferguson was oh God, I'm going to get in trouble here, but he was a better player. I thought he was a better player, but now Lewis has gone on because I think Lewis has got the professionalism.
Am I wrong in saying that Lewis is a different kind of midfielder than the two other ones, Barry and Derek?
Mm.
Is he silky as them? Is he got
much
skill as them?
He might not be as good in the eye as them, but he gets forward, gets goals, breaks up the play. It's a tough one. Yeah. It's a tough one between the three of them, actually.
Absolutely. Here's...
Don't put me in the spot.
No, I'll tell you what then. No, I'll say my 1, 2,
Archie, 3. The dad will be after me.
I don't mind. I'll say my 1, 2, 3. And even then I might get in trouble for it, but I think best Ferguson Barry, closely followed, and I'm only being biased about it because of the way I like a midfielder. Best Ferguson Barry, then the dad, then Lewis. But Lewis, I think, surpasses his dad because...
What he's done.
Because he's moved on to a level of professionalism that maybe Derek should have shown.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll change my mind then. I'll go Barry, Lewis, Derek. Because Derek should have achieved much, much more.
Yeah, that's what I would go, yeah.
That's the same with me. I would go that as well.
Yeah, okay. Young player, I'll tell you one thing, Ruffy. You know, you can always... You know how you can sense body language? See the young players when they come up to pick up the award, it's just that look of fear, you know, as if to say, are you going to boot me out?
Is that because of you?
It's absolutely because of me, because there's that look of fear as if to say...
I bet there was some young players in the audience going, I hope I don't win that.
I remember John Baird won it, and he just come up and this is his exact words. get me off quickly. Don't take the piss out of me. Right? And by the way, your old mate and we'll get on to him later, but that's the first thing Souness, of all people, said to me. He walked up to me and went, "Are you going to take the piss out of me?" You know, I was like, after your Stour Bucharest tackle, no, I'm going to pay tribute to you. David Watson, well done to David. You know, and this goes back to what Derek McInnes, who's our Straight Talk guest from last week, said. And I think it's great that Derek mentioned this. There is a window, he believes, that a club for 1 year or 2 maximum could put together a really special side that can have a right go and take a few scalps along the way, as he's proved against Celtic and Rangers. There is a window. But now, because Europe's suffering it, Scotland is suffering it, that window is so small, Ruffy, where everything's got to click, and Watson will be off. And Derek thinks he's got a great career, a great future as an international for Scotland in the future. And at 19 years of age, the world is his oyster.
Yeah, he's had a wonderful season, you know, obviously doing the damage against the 2 big teams. But apart from that, I can't remember looking at a game that he's been in that he's not done something meaningful in the game. You know, he's came on as a sub, or he started the game, scored a winner or something like that. I didn't know the boy. Fortunately enough, I met him at our golf club. He was up with his family having a meal with his girlfriend and that, and hadn't seen him in real life. You know, he's a bigger guy than what he looks on the
He looks small in the pitch.
He's a tall boy. You know, he's got all the physical attributes and everything. But I agree with you. I think Kilmarnock will be struggling, you know, to sort of a hold on to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before I get Lee's thoughts on some of the other winners, and we'll move on to the games coming up this week, which is a huge week, as we all know, for one particular game. But your old mucker, Brian Graham.
Yeah.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, I went up to say hello to him and congratulate him and everything. I think he was away somewhere like that. But he went out of his way to come over and say thanks very much for coming over to my table and saying thanks. I thought he might get the double. With the women's, the manager of the women's team taking the Thistle team to the final, because I mean Rangers and Celtic, they're all professional teams. Partick Thistle women aren't, you know. So to take them to the final, I thought he had a wee shout, but obviously never got it. But he's very focused, you know. They've got a big game tonight, so you know he was sort of playing it low key. But no, I was pleased for him. I think the remarks that you get for other managers in the league qualify how good he is. Because they say that he could play for any team and score goals, and he's that kind of guy. You know, anywhere he's been, he's done it, and at any level, he's done it. You know, so you know, I felt really happy for him. You know that he done it.
Yeah. Now, can I just say to you, Lee, you remember yourself as a youngster. Callum Morrison came up on the stage to pick up his Player of the Year in League One for Falkirk, the Invincibles. And
Character. I had him at Hearts.
And then some. And then some. I asked him a couple of questions, and you know how sometimes footballers can be really guarded? Not Callum. We're off to Ibiza. By the way, I fell through a table. By the way, and I thought to myself, okay, Callum, keep it coming. You know, he was just so open and funny. It was great.
He's a great boy. Really good trainer. But what a season he's had this season. And for some of the players that he's beat, like Brad Spencer, centre midfield player that's had another good season for himself. He's dropped down a level to go and play. But Callum, get back to Callum, scores goals, creates goals, got a bit of pace, can play in 3 or 4 different positions. Thoroughly deserves it.
Yeah, and when they announced the team of the season, I thought it was great of Graham Souness, who said, when they announced the team of the season, there was 10 Falkirk players, right? And only Roman Burrell was the other guy who had just been released by Falkirk the season before, or he left them. And Souness says, I decided to go up and try and console the wee boy that had been left out. He says he was just sitting there all, and it was a lovely touch by him, but nevertheless, well played to Falkirk. They just dominated. And Gregor Buchanan, Ruffy, he was the League Two Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell by the reception that all the guys who were from that division agreed 100% the season that he'd had, you know, and he got a bit of stick early on as well. You know, I think his hairstyle got a wee mention, you know, but
it looked like D'Artagnan, didn't it? The Three Musketeers. I had to leather him.
But no, Having been there, I mean, Lee's been there as well. To win an award with your peers, you know, and the guys you're playing with, it's not only for you, it's for the guys that you've been playing with all year. Because they get chuffed as well. They're part of it. They maybe not won it, but you've won it with them.
Yeah.
So they're going to celebrate in your glory, and they're having a good night as well. So if you're a player at a club and you win something, everybody should share it.
Yeah, absolutely. And he paid tribute to his manager as well, although I'm not quite sure when I was standing up there when he mentioned Scud books. I thought it got lost in translation what he was trying to say, and I had a double take as I had a wee look at him, and I'm thinking, did he just say that as the audience? You know that bit when you can hear the audience and they'll go, and I could hear them all murmuring, right? And then I could start to hear the breakout of laughter. And I'm thinking, right, clearly Gregor's not quite grasped here what he's saying.
My worrying bit was the guy who was sitting beside me turned around and went, Ruffy, what's this gun?
Yeah. Now, just before Lee talks about the goal of the season, Ruffy, and I thought it was only right and proper that we celebrate the people who picked up awards. Your old mate, some people come up and they haven't seen somebody in ages and they shake hands and they have a wee chat for 2 minutes, but you and Graham Souness got together. I brought him over to you, 22 minutes. What were you chatting about, Ruffy?
Well, just World Cup, you know, things.
Here we go.
High level
It
things.
takes a like salt off. You get 3 World Cups to talk about. There's a lot. But no, he was great, and I've said this to you, and he won't mind me saying it. He's mellowed so much. I think he's, with everything he's been through, the health wise and doing the stuff with his charity and everything, I think he's realised now that there is more than life than football as well. You've got to enjoy yourself. And he plays golf.
Yeah.
When he was at Rangers, he wouldn't even let the Rangers players play golf. And he was a golfer, you know, and we were just chatting about things, you know.
Yeah.
Football things.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure you were. And of course, as you can see, I had a right good laugh with him up on the stage. He was good fun, and he told some great stories as well.
He's looking great, isn't he?
Yeah, he does. And by the way, he's going to swim the channel, over there and back for the Deborah charity. So listen, fair play to him. And as you say, he has melody, was funny, and we had a right good laugh chatting up on the stage. And of course, a player like that, Lee, in his pomp at Liverpool, I loved him. I thought he was a great player.
Ridiculous. The things that the team that he played with, first of all, to be a leader in amongst that team says everything. But then you look at the accolades he's won as a player, the service he gave to his country, and then after his playing career, the service he had as a coach and manager. He's just one of the guys you're in awe of, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. He was really touched with the award and he was very emotional. I could see him welling up when I was chatting to him. So, listen, it was a great night. He got a huge ovation at the end, and rightly so, for his contribution, club, country, and of course, as you mentioned, manager. Goal of the season, just a wee footnote before we move on to the race for the title. Ravi Matondo, when his manager said to him, look, you're no Kevin De Bruyne, I think Ravi decided, well, hang on to this. Here's a couple
Try
of
and prove you wrong.
Yeah.
I think the importance of the goal probably has been a factor in that. Still to this day, I'll say Brendan Rodgers must be fuming that he's been allowed to cut inside, because he'd done it the week before as well.
Hibs.
But having said that, he's done it late on in the game to go and help the team get a point. The finish, the technique, everything about it, brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a brilliant night, well organised by Fraser Wisher and everybody at PFA Scotland. Just a fantastic night, meeting old friends, former players, former winners, and of course it's one of those days, once it finishes, you all get a chance to have a few bevies, and then at the end of it, you just start to panic and think it's 2 o'clock in the morning, Ruffy, how do I get a taxi home? And Panama Jack's is no longer open, so you can't go there either.
Panama Jack.
The bonus for you is you've went up, not getting a taxi, and not actually waking up in the grass the next morning.
that has happened before, but that's with your old mucker Jackie McNamara, the dad. Okay, to the title race. All roads lead to Celtic Park. I thought that was the best performance by Celtic for the entire season against Hearts. They were absolutely at it.
Yep.
A charged atmosphere, and they produced.
That was their rerun for me. The game at the weekend, I think the pressure was on Celtic playing first that weekend to go and get a result, lay down a marker, and they've done that. They've started the game perfectly well to get the goal within for 5 minutes, whatever it was, and then continue. I think the biggest thing for me is their midfield three, Hatate, Riley and McGregor. I think they're strong. They're starting to look as if they're coming into a bit of form again. Callum McGregor got a ball. He played the full 90 minutes, and more game time for him. Just like we were talking about the other week in the show, what's needed. So I think Celtic will be confident going into the weekend, but that middle of the pitch for me, I don't see any formation changes from Celtic or Rangers going into the game, so I can see it man for man in the middle of the pitch. Celtic are very, very strong there as they proved it at the weekend, so I think it'll be difficult.
Yeah, when you look at the graphic of the team that he put out on that match, I don't see too many changes, Ruffy, from that team. I mean, Lee thinks it'll be there or thereabouts. The pass for Kyogo's second goal was just ridiculous.
Yeah, the only thing I'm looking at is Forrest and Maeda. I think we know how much Maeda causes Tavernier a bit of problems, and I think he'll have a bit of sleepless night if he's in that team. But James Forrest could come on at any time and do the same damage. Apart from that, I think everybody else, if they're all fit, that will be the side.
Funnily enough, I look at that and I say that Maeda comes in for Kuhn.
I was just about to say, and I think Forrest could go to the right and Maeda on the left. I think that would be, if Maeda's fit, I think Forrest should play on the right and Maeda on the left.
Yeah, it's a strange situation. I'm not quite sure how Brendan Rodgers gives the quote from the Rangers manager. I just put the quote up on the wall and say, okay, boys, get out there and stop Celtic from having some fun. This is what the Celtic manager said. This stage, it's all about mentality. You can see mentally we're in a really good place. Take nothing for granted. Keep our composure. We have a lot of work to do in the week. Get our plan ready. And then next Saturday we can have a bit of fun.
Well, it's only going to be fun if they go into the lead and everything's going their way. I don't think there'll be much fun if it's a reverse, with the 60,000 supporters there. But I keep going back to after that last game at Ibrox when Cameron Vickers got interviewed after the game and he said, what like was it when you were winning 3-2? And he was trying to explain to everybody how difficult it is when a whole stadium's full of opposition supporters. The pressure that's on you to sort of come out of there unscathed is unbelievable. So now Rangers have got to go there with 60,000, fans screaming if they're winning, and having to deal with it. So it remains to be seen if the defence can stand up to that kind of thing.
Yeah, as you would expect. I don't think the Rangers manager, Philippe Clement, was too happy with that comment.
That it's something that I would never say about an opponent, but okay, we will see. That it's not really respectful towards my team, that I think. So I will never say things like that about an opponent.
That's the joy of going into a game like this, Lee.
He's not happy, is he? He's not happy.
But you do put newspaper clippings up. I know managers that do that and go,
of course,
there you go.
And getting into any big game, you're looking for a wee bit of fuel or a bit of direction to give to your players to say, use this.
Yeah.
He could do it, he might not do it. I don't know. I see it a little bit of tongue-in-cheek for Brendan Rodgers, and I think the Rangers manager there's acting more bothered than actually what he is. There's nothing happened. He said, let's go and have a bit of fun, albeit massive game of football. I think Brendan's just trying to play it down to his players and keep everybody probably at Lennoxtown calm.
And of course, Rangers had to bounce back, and they did against Kilmarnock, and Kilmarnock have been tricky this season.
Yes, they did. But by the way, after took them, some of the VAR decisions in that game,
by the way, at one point Ian Crocker said, we're 20 minutes into the game and 18 of them, I think, was all VAR decisions. It really was, wasn't it?
I don't like moaning about the referees or the VAR referees or VAR itself. But the handball right at the start, for that to take 2.5, 3 minutes to get cleared up, surely somebody's saying, just go on with the game. But Rangers didn't start the game well at all, but they come back into it, albeit against 10 men. deserved to win, probably should have scored more goals than what they did to bring that goals gap down. But they've won, and that's what they had to do to set themselves to go up into a massive game now.
Yeah, I mean, this is the lineup that they had. Do you see Philippe Clement deviating too much from that, Lee?
Not the back four, no. I think because of what I mentioned with Celtic being so strong in the middle of the pitch, I just think Sterling could start in the middle of the pitch. Maybe Cantwell out wide, or Sterling and McCausland coming in, and Cantwell on the left to be a little bit more narrow. I think you need the energy of Sterling in the middle of the pitch, because Celtic, it's probably Celtic's strongest part of their team.
Ruffy?
Yeah, if I was Rangers, I'd be playing McCausland. I think McCausland can cause Celtic defenders.
Who would you play him instead of?
Sterling, I wouldn't play Sterling. I'd play McCausland wide. Yeah.
At the start?
Do you want to play Sterling at all?
No.
Ruffy, come on.
I think McCausland causes more problems.
So you want to put Sterling in the middle of the pitch, or play him out on the left, or play him at left back, or right back, or other positions?
Well,
he's good at?
I think the biggest problem for Rangers in this match, you've mentioned the strength that Celtic have in the middle of the park. I think Rangers' biggest problem here is that Barisic can be caught at. When you look at the big games where he's been found out, it's been somebody coming in, running off him and sneaking in.
You could say that.
You've got to stop Tavernier and Barisic getting forward. You've got to stop. You've got to put people out there who are not going to make them go by that halfway line. You've got to have the threat
I think
of keeping them
Sterling's
back.
going to start though, Ruffy. Do you?
Well, seemingly Balogun's injured.
For me, Sterling has got to start.
Where are you playing him?
He's been Rangers' best player for the last maybe month, 6 weeks. For me, he can play in the right, the left, right back, left back, centre mid, where he played in the cup final that Rangers won.
I think the big thing for me is Cantwell's got to. This is a game he's got to stamp what he thinks he is.
Yeah. See if Sterling doesn't play, text Lee, but you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to text you. He's going to text you. And that's a Stonewall certainty. If anything, that's the key to this. I think, the big moments, there's two elements to this, Lee, which I think Rangers to win at Celtic Park will need. And one of them is, 20, 25 yards out, a set piece. The other aspect of it that I hope does not get involved in this game is the referee. Willie Collum is the referee, and we've got to hope that the two of them can have a real ding-dong without the referee and VAR ruining it.
Yeah, you just want to see the game in a fair playing field, and after the game, it's no talk about VAR or the referee. Just what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's talk about this team won it because they were the better team, and the team that lost it didn't turn up or weren't good enough. That's the only things you want to be talking about.
Absolutely. Celtic have a 5-goal advantage in goal difference, Ruffy. Is that key?
It'll be key if it comes to the last game, and it's got something to do with it, But I just think this game at the weekend, if obviously Celtic do win it, it's 6 points. With 6 points to go for. They've got their last games at home. If it was to go to goal difference, although Rangers are playing well, I can't see them going to Tynecastle and taking 4 and 5 off Hearts, if that's what they need to do.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, we'll get to Friday and we'll all have a chat again because we'll be closer to it. We'll have that feeling of exactly what's going down, if there's any late injuries, but certainly going into it, it's exactly what you want. You want games where there's something at stake, Lee, and if it happens to be Celtic Rangers, all the better. It brings the focus towards Scottish football.
Enhances the game, enhances the Scottish game, with it being live on the telly, and we've got a title race. That's what we've wanted. See, at the very start of the season, everybody, as I said, there's not going to be a title race again this year. It's so good to begin in with, 3 games to go in the season. Obviously, you've got a favourite who everybody thinks is going to win, but both teams can still win the league, and that's all basically the neutral, this neutral guy that we keep talking about.
Yeah. Where is he?
That's
the competition before the
I'm
end
yet
of the
to meet
season.
him, but
Search for the neutral guy that he must live next door to, and he just hasn't chapped his door yet, Ruffy. I've never met a neutral guy in this
Go on,
side of
neighbour.
town. Eh?
Probably no go on, neighbour.
No, hey, don't you talk. You haven't got any neighbours, by the way. You know what I mean? When you're sitting up there in your castle. Okay, we'll get your thoughts on how you think it's all going to go the nearer we get to it, because there are, from time to time, there's been the odd twist and turn that comes to team selection, injuries, managers keep it quiet, and then all of a sudden you see the team selection and you think, oh, wait a minute. And I give you the start of the season. That's the one thing, the element of it. I looked at the start of the season, saw Celtic's side and thought Rangers could take 2 or 3 off them.
did you?
Absolutely. It was a really makeshift, weak back line. And I remember looking at it and thinking, and a lot of Rangers fans I was speaking to ahead of it were thinking,
Before the first game.
Before the first game.
Old Firm game, I
Yeah.
remember, sorry, yes.
yeah. And I thought, Rangers actually, you were looking at it and you think to yourself, could win this game. I remember that feeling.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes in social media and everything, there's a little buzz that goes round, and then everybody's looking, and then all of a sudden there was just this groundswell of opinion of, this could be 2 or 3.
I think people convince each other on social media. You'll get a little group saying
Yeah.
Celtic's definitely going to win this, and then the followers come on,
Yeah.
and it grows momentum, and it. What do you mean? Would you call that confirmation bias or something like that, where it's everybody jumps on the bandwagon?
But I
think that's what happens.
I didn't look and think Celtic were favourites. I looked at their team and their back line and I thought, this could be 3 or 4 Rangers.
And it's the same on when it comes Saturday. I think the start of the game is going to be crucial. If Rangers score early, it might not be a good place to be for a Celtic player.
Yeah.
We said the same at Ibrox before, and Celtic scored, what was that, 20 seconds or something?
21 seconds.
And the full dynamic of the day shifted, and obviously the end of the game it was a wee bit different, but it's a really tough one to call.
Yeah. The only thing, in a strange sort of way, that comes back to bite Rangers at this one is no fans. What a blow that is.
Every Old Firm game we talk about it,
but in this one, especially,
I know.
I know you're really strong on it, and I am, and Ruffy is. But in this game, it's the title's up for grabs.
Can you imagine the atmosphere if you've got 2.5, 3, 5 or 7,500 Rangers fans in that stadium?
It would have been electric, wouldn't it, Ruffy?
Well, they've played in them. I'm sure as a player on the park, you respond to your support behind you. They do throw you on, and if they're winning, you're winning, and they're singing and they're high. Your momentum increases, I would expect, and you want to go and win the game. That's why I'm saying Cameron Vickers was saying he was absolutely astounded at Ibrox with the vocal noise that was happening, and they're having to try and see that game out. So it's going to be a reverse role at the weekend.
Yeah, the 20 seconds must have really intimidated him until the ball hit the back of the net, Ruffy. and then he must have settled down. As far as that game is concerned, it takes care of itself. We'll be giving you the build-up all the way through the week. Lots of things across our social media covering Celtic versus Rangers, early kick-off Saturday. Livingston relegated. It was inevitable. We all looked at it and thought it's only a matter of time. And finally, 4-1 defeat to Motherwell, and they're down. Yeah,
they certainly are now. David Martindale splashing the cash. He's signing players left, right and centre. He said he's signed, 4? He's signed 4 pre-contracts, yeah. I'm guessing, I might be wrong here, but I think one of them is the captain, Arbroath, the boy McKenna. Yeah. Who I think's a good player.
He's all right, him.
He's their best player. Now, if they have got them, it's an asset.
I don't think they have got him. I think somebody's got the other one.
Somebody's got McKenna. I don't know who it is.
Well, the fact that he's made 4 signings.
It tells me that he's going to be there next season. Because I thought at the end of the season, we've watched him every week this season, and he's uphill struggle for boardroom level, off the pitch, on the pitch. Livingston used to be one of the hardest teams to play against in the league, and this year they've completely not been won 4 games, is it? 4 or 5 games in a season. It's not been good enough. I'd love to see him stay and get them back up.
I don't think there's any doubt. He's won 3 at home and 1 away, 4 games, which hasn't been good enough. But I never thought he was going to be replaced.
No, I think what he's done behind the scenes, I think he's been very good in any of the after game interviews. He's been very honest with everybody. He's not trying to fudge any issues or anything like that. He's not been blaming VAR that much or blaming the referees.
Yeah.
But I think he's just handled himself impeccably the whole season.
Yeah, and as you can hear now, he's not one to shirk responsibility.
So I'm conscious that I don't want to sit here and say it's symptomatic and rubber the green when I should be taking responsibility for that. It kind of feels to me like a wee bit of a deflection saying that. So I think it's important that I take a massive share of responsibility for where we are in the league. I think it's important I do that. I don't want to start looking at VAR, budgets, rubbery green, big decisions going against you. I think it's important that me, as a leader of the group, takes that responsibility.
Yep, and you would expect nothing less from David and most of the players. Absolutely gutted. Speaking to Michael Devlin, the captain, at the weekend, and of course, you know, big changes afoot there at Livingston to try and regroup and get back out of the Championship, which is no mean feat, to be perfectly honest with you. St Mirren, they've got the edge, Ruffy, and suddenly Stephen Robinson, you know that horse race when they just gets his nose in front now.
Yeah, it's a surprise for me at the weekend. You know, I thought Dundee had it in the bag, you know, particularly being at home, but St Mirren got the wee break, the rubber, the green at the right time, you know, ball fell to Gogic's feet about 2 yards out and he couldn't believe it, and then the other go. Sometimes you get to games like that, then things just go well for you, you know. They're now looking up now, they're now talking about trying to catch Kilmarnock. It's only 6 points, so you know, I think St Mirren, that's why I couldn't understand why he wasn't in the running for the manager of the year. Yeah,
okay, you've mentioned it more than a few times, Ruffy, let it go. As far as Killie are concerned, great. Derek McInnes, brilliant. Not only Europa League, I'd love to see them make it. I hope he gets the backing to bring in a certain style of player to try and have a tilt at it. But they'll drop into the Conference League if they fail to get through the qualifiers.
Yeah, I think he will get back in for the board there. The board are magnificent there for first-hand experience. It would be brilliant to see them get into Europa League. I think it will be a very, very tough ask to do that, but the conference, you see the standard of the conference, which is left, the news at Fiorentina, West Ham still?
Out.
Are they out?
Yeah.
So there you go, look at the standard of the conference. I think there will be money there. Whether Van Veen gets another year, I'm not so sure. He's not really made the impact. But to suggest that how they got him in the first place shows how ambitious the board and Derek is.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Bruges, Fiorentina, Olympiacos, Aston Villa.
Some standard, and by the way, that's a conference in Europa.
And by the way, Olympiacos thumped Aston Villa.
Yeah.
You know, which I don't think too many people thought about. But yeah, it's absolutely right what you're saying. Hearts, they are looking towards the Europa League playoff round, so full marks to them as well, Ruffy.
Yeah, and they're away ahead of everybody else in the Premier League. They've started bringing players in for next season, identifying, you know, players from our league, which they think will be an asset, and I'm sure it will be. But I'm sure they'll wait and see what's happening with Shankland. And then, you know, they might dive in a wee bit heavier. It remains to be seen, you know, if they spend a bit of money. But certainly they've got a squad there that can compete at most levels.
I'm going to make, you know, a statement here, Ruffy, that you might suddenly agree or disagree with. I think that while I really do like Nick Montgomery, I fear for his job. I think Hibs lost to Ross County. There's an exodus of players, and I've just had, you know, today the news that Paul Hanlon and Lewis Stevenson will leave the club. They've earned their stripes over the years, but I have serious worries about whether the manager's going to be there.
Well, I think the worry is the new owner coming in. You know, he is part of, I think it's 2 football clubs, isn't he? Bournemouth and somebody. Yeah. He's going to have a large say. Americans always do. You know, they'll want to come in, they'll sit down. You know, they have. I mean, the Americans have come in and changed, I think, a lot of Scottish football behind the scenes.
Yes.
You know, the Aberdeen and that they've been
Lachlan Cameron was there
behind the scenes. Yep. I think they have been trying to introduce new ways of approaching the club. So no, I think he's got a meeting to go to, and he's got to come up with the right answers, because he's going to get asked some leading questions. You know, that's a massive club that hasn't been in the top 6 for 2 years in a row. So somebody's going to ask him something, so he better have the answers.
Yeah. Do you share that view, or do you think they'll stick with
I think he's got a lot of answers to give, and they've got to be the right ones. I completely agree with you, Ruffy. I still see him there next season, though.
Do you?
I see him there next season.
You've been adamant about that,
I
actually.
know. They're sitting in 7th. See if they finish 8th or 9th, I won't be as confident.
Right.
But there's 2 points clear now.
Yep.
And 7th ahead of 8th, I think. So they need to finish 7th for me.
Yeah.
I think he's under pressure. I think recruitment is going to be the biggest thing for him to kick on and keep his job for next season.
Okay, have a look at that Premiership table. There's, I think it might be 1 point actually, but we'll soon find out. Yeah, there he's there. 1 point ahead of Aberdeen. Nick Montgomery. Can he save his job? I have to say, Ruffy, every time I see St Johnstone, every week, I just think you're not only in the playoff, you're going down.
You said this 2 weeks ago as well.
I know. Yeah,
Was it 2 weeks ago you were at the game?
Do you know what I
You're like, oh,
Listen,
no.
I've watched
Oh,
two of them.
no.
But by the way, you know what I love about you, and you obviously we've known each other for such a long time. It's just when I just give it that brutal line, you know. But that's the way I see it, Ruffy.
Well, I'm standing my statement from 3 months ago that I think the two teams, as you've just said,
So they'll play Wraith probably.
Wraith or Thistle, I would think.
Yeah.
Nothing, no disrespect to Airdrie, but I
Yeah.
think it's between Wraith and Thistle who they'll play.
And you think
And I think either of the two of them would be good enough
Yeah,
to
I'm buying
take on
it.
To beat them.
Johnson over 2 games, yeah.
And that'll be an extra 2 games over the space, it'll be an extra week. That's right, innit? You know, they'll play their playoff,
Yeah.
and then the winner of that will go and play a double header against St Johnstone.
Wraith Rovers will play 2 games.
That's what I mean. So
Yeah.
it'll be 4 games in 10 days,
before they get to
12 days, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's the only disadvantage for me. But, and that's why I think it will be tight, because St Johnstone will be fresh.
Yeah.
I think the only disadvantage is if you pick up injuries to crucial players.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you're not getting into that game
Aye.
at 11, but if Wraith Rovers or Thistle or Airdrie go into
Strongest
that game,
team.
strongest team, winning 2 games,
Yeah,
winning,
yeah.
you're going into the game.
Aye, I'm with you.
You know,
Yeah.
whether they've got to deal with the thought of getting relegated.
I'm with you, Ruffy.
But
I'm now in your camp.
you've seen them live.
Yeah,
You know.
I'm in your camp. If it's Wraith or Partick Thistle, they're taking St
St Johnstone play Ross County.
Yeah, this week, I think, aye.
The games this. In fact, you can have a look at the fixture.
Where you go. What happens to Johnson win this?
Yeah.
Eh?
Well, I have to tell you, that's the fixtures: Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Dundee,
That's this weekend, so it must be Wednesday then.
Livingston, St Johnstone. Yeah, but by that time, you're saying to yourself, you know, it's so close. There's only a point between them. But by the time you get to the
You're going early in this, Peter.
St Johnstone, Ross County.
You're going
know,
early.
I
You've
know.
went early. You went 2 weeks ago.
I know, but
Like St Johnstone are down.
the big man's going to absolutely just fire me out.
Yeah, he's coming for you.
Definitely, because
Yeah,
he said to me up at McDermott Park, "Oh, Boheed, what you hear?" I was actually going to say, I'm following the manager where I'm going down, but I thought better of it, Robbie. I thought, Big Craig, you know, he's good in a press conference, but St Johnstone, Ross County is the 15th of May. But listen, Don Cowie's got his team motoring, and if they beat Motherwell, and you look at St Johnstone against Livingston, listen, it could all twist, but I think they're going down, and I think they're going down because I agree with you, Ruffy. Championship. Are you saying Premiership stays?
No, I'm actually sitting in the fence
Are you?
because I just think that freshness always the advantages with the Premiership team for me.
Let me tell you, the last 2 times I've seen St Johnstone, you wouldn't be sitting on the fence, you'd be sleeping on it. It's just don't look as if they're going
He's away
I
again.
know, they're mental. Anyway, what about this, Ruffy, the predictor? Let's have a look at the old scores, because things are looking hot.
He's catching me.
And by the way, Pat Lowe, who's out at the front, the punter says, by the way, if I win it, how am I going to the BFA Player of the Year Awards? It was Sunday. So basically, we never thought that through, Ruffy, did we? No. And what we are going to do is we're going to take the winner of the predictor out with their partner, whoever they want to bring, their mate, their husband or wife. They'll be coming to a gala event with us that we have. We've got more than a few of them.
Yeah. More than that. It looks as if I'm on the double again this year. No.
Yeah, you
I
could.
won it last year.
2 out of
That's
11.
impressive, Ruffy.
Keep the trophy, no?
No, you get to keep the trophy if you've won 9 out of
Is it a winner of the team? Do you mean the staff?
That one.
So you've won. No, you're not going to win that.
He's won. He's
you're the
top of the pundits.
Top of aye.
So he's got.
Oh, well done.
He's won 2. Tam's won 1. Alison's won 1, and I've won 7. So it's going to be good to see if Pat Lowe is going to stay out in front. Interesting. Don't forget, if you enjoy the content that we've got, then hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and of course share when you can our social media feeds as well. The great thing about the YouTube channel, we've got so many programmes for you to enjoy, as well as the Women's Football Show. There's Straight Talk, brilliant one-to-one with Derek McKinney. It's really open. It was a really good insight from him. We've got one of Ruffy's old mates, Ian Munro, talking one-to-one. And there's a fabulous one-to-one coming up with Billy Dodds, who was in fine form. And of course, they all, Ruffy, get the chance to pick 3 people in the car with them on a trip. You know, we do these wee daft questions at the end.
I've got a funny feeling who Ian Munro would pick.
Yeah.
Because they did used to travel through it every day for Glasgow.
Go on.
Gordon Chisholm and wee Joe McBride.
Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to hear if he did pick them. Interesting to hear if he did pick them. No, I think he's.
Wouldn't have picked me anyway.
No, he's not going to pick you, because Ian, the word you're looking for is Ian, respectable, you moron. You couldn't drive in the car.
Not recovered for that Maradona. He's no,
absolutely not. You can't play a brilliant game against Maradona and then one of your teammates, girls, tapes over the video and you don't get the chance to watch it ever again. Anyway, Airdrie against Partick Thistle, playoff, tough one. Patrick Mullen is out there for that game for us.
Yeah, that's right, Peter. Playoff football returns tonight here at the Excelsior Stadium as Airdrieonians take on Partick Thistle. The Jags looking to go one step further after that playoff heartbreak they endured last season. You'll remember they took a 2-goal advantage up to Dingwall to take on Ross County. Then a last-minute goal saw them go to extra time, onto penalties, and then Ross County sent them for another season in the Championship. They'll be hoping this year could be their year, but first they've got to get past Airdrieonians, a side looking to go for back-to-back promotions. Rhys McCabe leading his side up to the Championship last season and now looking to book their place in the Premiership. These two sides did meet just a few weeks ago where Partick Thistle cruised past them 4-0 at Firhill, but it's all completely different when the pressure of the playoffs is on. It kicks off here at the Excelsior Stadium at 7:45 tonight.
Yeah, thanks to Patrick for that. I'm going for the Jags, Ruffy, over the 2 legs.
Yeah, I think they've got the players in it if they produce the goods. Obviously with Brian Graham there, terrific scorer. You know, if Airdrie would have to have him under complete watch, because if he's on fire, I would say Thistle over the 2 legs should win it.
Thistle for me.
Yeah, okay. Lots more to come on that. Incidentally, I thought we'd give a little mention. The Women's Football Show, Kerry Pollock and the obviously managing director of the SWPL, Fiona McIntyre, on the Women's Football Show this week. And we've been right across the country with players and managers coming in, and we're forever grateful for that. And we've been promoting the women's game. Certainly, I settled down yesterday to watch Celtic against Rangers, Ruffy. Really looking forward to what I hope would have been a goal fest. I'll never get that hour and a half back. It wasn't the best. There were moments in it where it looked as if it was going to spark into life. And the two of them now are suddenly locked in a battle. Dead on points, but Celtic have a 13-goal advantage.
Yeah, they're not any different from the men's game. You know, the pressure's there, the tension's there. Both of them knew what was at stake. You know, if one of them had won the game, you know, it could have turned everything on its head. So both of them have still got 3 games to play. I think Celtic have probably got the easier 3 games than Rangers. But you never know, pressure might hit in there. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah,
Joe Potter was manager of the year. She was there after the game in that 0-0 draw with the Celtic boss Elena Sadiku.
Tough because, you know, I think we did enough to win the game. I think we had enough chances. You're out of the crossbar a couple of times. It feels disappointing. Again, we limited them to minimal chances. I think I only remember Vic making one save again, which is a good save. But you know, it feels that, you know, we knew we needed 3 points more than they did.
Hunger, the performance. I thought that we were the better team. Like I said, we should have won, and that's something that, you know, the girls showed up. You're talking about pressure. We knew that this was going to be a huge game for us, and we were dealing with it great, because how the players came out, especially second half, I thought there was only one team on the pitch, and that was us.
Okay, those two have had a right good ding-dong, by the way, and there's nothing like a wee bit of aggro to get everybody excited, but it's a great end to the season. If you get a chance to go and support women's football, by all means, get along there. You can take the family, you can enjoy the day. I thought it was brilliant yesterday just to see Celtic and Rangers fans sitting together. It's a rare situation.
As it could be the start of the divide coming together, couldn't it? Yeah. But it's brilliant to see, but the league itself, how tight's that?
Yeah, it's brilliant actually. I love your optimism there. That was such a brilliant. That was what I
started, and then I went never going to.
It was a brilliant. It was a brilliant what I call. It was a United
reality kicked in now.
Yeah, the only way that would happen is if Will Smith turned up in a black suit and had that thing that he shows to people, and then they forget everything in their life. Anyway, just a couple of quick things to finish. Ruffy, we mentioned it's a Lewis Ferguson, brilliant, wins that award in Italy. No mean feat.
No, it's fantastic, you know, in such a short time as well. And I think I was reading that Pirlo had won that a couple of times, so he's up there with the big ones.
Yeah, the other thing I mentioned early on in the season, Ruffy, I did say to you, way early in the season, Doak, get him in. Yep. And now there's a real shout. They might actually include him in the 26th for Scotland.
I think it would be brilliant. I think he needs to play in the 2 games before the Euros. Or 2 games, 2 friendly games.
Yeah, 2.
Before the Euros, he's got to play in them to see if he can handle it.
My old mucker, David Moyes, is going to leave West Ham. He can leave with his head held high. I was there when they won the Conference League final against Fiorentina. It was absolutely magnificent. Be careful what you wish for, West Ham fans, because he has done a fabulous job.
I'm with you all the ways. He's been a tremendous manager through his career. He's went there, he's gave them the club silverware, and the fans maybe just not sexy enough for the fans.
Yeah.
But they could win for a big fright next season, depending who comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. If they want sexy football, they might get it next year when they're getting pumped. And on that note, Ruffy.
Glad I never seen
yeah, exactly. Be careful what you wish for, Hammers. Ten Hag. Listen, Davey could get the United job again, eh? He's getting sacked. He's getting sacked, isn't he?
He's got to go.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't talk himself out of that. He's been doing it all year.
Yeah.
Saying, hang on. The club should be hanging on for anything.
They're full for grace in it. The club, look at Sir Alex been in there now. They get beat 4 with Crystal Palace, and the manager comes out after the game and says, I'm no surprised, I've seen it coming.
Yeah.
He can't be there much longer.
No, absolutely. Champions League semi-finals, I always love them tomorrow. It's a tough one to call. Dortmund lead the tie 1-0 from the semi-final last week against Paris Saint-Germain. I think this could turn on its head, would you think?
Yes, definitely home advantage for me. I think with the quite a big pitch that, I think with the pace PSG have got, the ability they've got, they'll win that 2-1. Big shout for me, that, isn't it?
Absolutely. You've saved your brutality to the best.
I get carried away there.
Maybe it took him 58 minutes to warm up.
I tend to stay away from predictions.
I know, it comes back.
Tell him the story.
Oh, he predicted Paris Saint-Germain to win the Champions League. And obviously they come up against Barcelona and he said, it's over. Because they've won 4-0.
I texted them at the end of the game, 4-0.
So, second leg. I mean, as you are aware, just as each goal went in, I just kept, and I thought, here we go. And then right at the death, Barcelona knocked them out. I think Unai Emery was the PSG boss at the time. Last one, Real Madrid, Bayern. I think Bayern have blown it, Ruffy.
Sure they are. I like Real Madrid.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I like the old white strip. I always have done. Way back in the Eintracht game, which I was only.
You like that kind of a traditional?
Yeah, it's just because they're all white getting out there, they just look powerful, you know.
Yeah. Are you a Real Madrid or are you a Barcelona man?
Real Madrid.
Eh? Oh well, I must be on my own. But I think you going for Real?
Both teams to score, Real Madrid to win 3-1.
Okay, there you are.
Is that specific enough?
But you can't buy that punditry. He's razor sharp. But buys one bit of cashmere over the weekend. Suddenly we're getting opinions there. And let's hope he's razor sharp on Friday when he joins us in the football show. Hope you can join us then. Don't forget that this week we've got Straight Talk. Derek McInnes, great 1-to-1. More Straight Talks to come. We've got the women's football show coming out as well, and over and above that, Ruffy, we've got the journos, the chance for Hugh McDonald to have a real good old argument with Andrew Smith, who's our guest this week. So lots, as well as social media covering Celtic versus Rangers. It's the big one, and we will be covering every blade of grass all the way up to Saturday in that early kick-off. From Ruffy, from Lee, and from myself, Peter Martin, thank you for listening, and thank you for watching.